Sitcoms have always been a huge part of TV history, and one show that fans still love today is Alice. The show was on TV from 1976 to 1985, and it was about Alice Hyatt, a mom whose husband had died and who worked at a place called Mel's Diner in Phoenix. While Alice was the main character of the show, it was Flo Castleberry, played by Polly Holliday, who really stole the show. With her big personality, Southern style, and her famous saying, "Kiss my grits," Flo became a fan favorite. Sadly, Polly Holliday died at age 88 on September 9th, and fans were really sad. But even though there was lots of laughter and success, Flo suddenly left the show and never came back. In this video, we'll tell you why she left and how her leaving changed Alice forever. Polly Dean Holliday was born on July 2, 1937 in Jasper, Alabama, a small town where life was simple, hard, and everyone followed traditions. Her father, Ernest, did jobs that needed a lot of hard work, while her mother, Velma, took care of the family with quiet Southern strength. Polly grew up hearing cicadas on hot summer nights, going to church gatherings, and feeling like she wanted more than her small hometown could give her. When she was a kid, she found comfort in music. She got really good at playing the piano, went to Alabama College for Women, and then went to Florida State University. Following what everyone expected, she became a music teacher, which was a steady job that everyone respected. But deep down, she wanted something different. She wanted to be on stage, not in a classroom. Her first tries at following that dream came when she acted in local theater, where she felt the excitement of performing for the first time. In the 1960s, she joined the Asolo Repertory Theater in Sarasota, Florida, and traveled to small towns doing plays that were sometimes funny and sometimes sad. The pay was very little and traveling was really hard, but each role made her better at acting. When she was 30, which was an age when most women back then were taking care of their families, Polly made a brave choice. She stopped teaching and chose to act full-time, giving up safety for the chance to do what she loved. It was risky, and some people thought it was shocking by Southern standards, but she was as determined as anyone could be. The years after that weren't fancy at all. She worked in small shows, then on off-Broadway stages in New York, and often performed for very few people. But those small theaters became like her school. She turned her thick Alabama accent into something special, something that made her performances feel real and different. She got unexpected support from Dustin Hoffman, who was also trying to make it in theater at the time. He told her to keep going, which made her believe her dream wasn't silly. Little by little, she got known for making people remember her, even when she only had tiny roles. Hollywood finally paid attention. In 1976, she was in All the President's Men for a short time. The role was small, but her natural acting caught the attention of TV producers. That quick moment on screen became the door to the role that would change her life and take her from the quiet life in Alabama to the bright lights of Hollywood. Before we talk about her leaving Alice, it's important to mention the big moments that helped Polly Holliday become famous. By the mid-1970s, after years of working on her acting career on stage, she made it to Broadway, where people loved her in the 1974 comedy All Over Town. The play was a hit and helped people know she was a talented actress who was ready for bigger chances. That success helped her get on TV. She got a part in the sitcom Alice when it started as a series in 1976, which was based on the movie Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. As Florence Jean Flo Castleberry, the loud and tough waitress whose famous catchphrase was, "Kiss my grits," Holliday was an instant hit with viewers. Her mix of funny and tough gave the show a lot of its energy, and really quickly Flo became maybe the most talked-about character. The character not only got Holliday awards and recognition, but also made her famous in every home. She won Golden Globe Awards, got an Emmy nomination, and won the hearts of viewers as Flo turned out to be a strong but lovable character to them. She made Alice one of the best sitcoms of the late 1970s. However, after season 4, Holliday decided to leave. Leaving this character was a really big moment for the show because it ended the time with its most famous character and started a new time while giving Holliday chances to work on something new, like her short spin-off show Flo. Flo's goodbye happened on February 24, 1980, in an episode that was both sweet and sad. The story was about her sudden decision to quit Mel's Diner when she was offered a job as the main hostess at a fancy Houston restaurant. To the regular customers at Mel's and to people watching at home, the announcement was shocking and didn't feel real. The show went on with lots of emotional goodbyes as Flo talked about new adventures, but also said thank you for the strong friendships at the diner. Her quick jokes and sharp comments used to be what kept the diner lively, and now without her, something would be missing. But just like Flo would do, her story didn't go as expected. Instead of working at the fancy restaurant, she ended up going back to humble beginnings and opening her own roadhouse. This story became the idea for her spin-off show, Flo. Even though the show never did as well as Alice, its last episode is one of the most emotional moments of 1970s TV. It showed how much one character and one actress could mean to people before saying goodbye. When Alice said goodbye to her sharp-talking waitress, TV wasn't ready to let Flo Castleberry go away so fast. Wanting to use how popular the character was, CBS gave Polly Holliday her own series just called Flo. It started on March 24, 1980, coming with high hopes and people who already loved the character and wanted to see what happened to the loud waitress who had been so memorable. The new show imagined Flo going off on her own. On her way to Houston, where a nice job as a restaurant hostess was waiting for her, she made a surprise stop in her hometown of Cowtown, Texas. Feeling nostalgic and stubborn, she bought an old run-down roadhouse that had memories from when she was young. She renamed it Flo's Yellow Rose and worked really hard to try to fix it up. The series was about her struggles to keep the bar and grill running. Flo's new world was full of interesting and sometimes annoying characters. Earl, the rude bartender who challenged her every chance he got. Farley, the smooth-talking banker who owned her mortgage and seemed to like making things hard for her. And her complicated family. Her demanding mother, Velma, played by Sudie Bond, and her prim sister, Fran, played by Lucy Lee Flippin, both of whom reminded Flo of the home life she had escaped. She wasn't completely alone, though. Miriam, her childhood best friend, was the bookkeeper and sometimes gave good advice, while Les, the chain-smoking piano player, filled the bar with his rough music. Regular people came in and out, like Randy, the mechanic from the garage next door, and Chester, a loyal customer whose presence made the place feel homey. The group of characters built a quirky, detailed world that had the same weird charm people had loved about Alice. At first, Flo looked like another success story. It started strong, getting into the top 20 shows of the season, and for a while it seemed Polly Holliday had done the rare thing of going from being part of a group to being the star. But TV can be as mean as it is unpredictable. The network moved the time slot more than once, moving the show around the schedule until it lost its early success. Ratings went down, audiences stopped watching, and by July 2, 1981, which was actually Holliday's 44th birthday, the series was quietly canceled after just 29 episodes. What made the ending even sadder was that Flo never came back to Alice. Except for short video clips in the Alice finale, the character disappeared from TV screens. For a woman whose one-liners had become part of popular culture, her disappearance felt strangely unfinished, like a song that ends before the last part. Looking back, Flo feels like both a win and a loss. It proved the character was strong enough to have her own show and gave Holliday the chance to show she could lead a series. But its cancellation left fans feeling like something was missing, wondering what could have been. The Yellow Rose may have only been on TV for a short time, but for those who loved Flo Castleberry, the memory of her toughness, humor, and heart still shines bright. When Polly Holliday walked away from Alice, she also walked away from the role that had made her famous. The network quickly filled the empty spot, first with Diane Ladd, who had played Flo in the movie Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and later with Celia Weston. But for many viewers, no one could really replace Polly's sharp-talking waitress. Holliday herself, meanwhile, kept going with her career, determined not to be stuck in the shadow of just one character. In 1981, she was chosen to replace Eileen Brennan in CBS's Private Benjamin after Brennan's terrible car accident. But luck wasn't on her side. Before Holliday could really get settled, the series was canceled, leaving her with only 3 filmed episodes. A few years later, she took on the role of a tough prison guard in the short-lived sitcom version of Stir Crazy, 1985 to 1986, which was based on the hit movie starring Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. That show also ended within months. For Holliday, steady success on TV seemed to keep slipping away, no matter how good the start was. Still, Hollywood hadn't forgotten her. By the mid-1980s, she reinvented herself as a character actress in movies, finding a new start in roles that showed off her cutting humor and strong presence. People remember her most clearly as Mrs. Deagle in Gremlins 1984, a mean, greedy woman whose fate at the paws of the mischievous creatures made viewers happy. Nearly 10 years later, she came back to comedy in Mrs. Doubtfire 1993, playing Sally Field's nosy neighbor with perfect comic timing. She easily played motherly or bossy roles, whether as JoBeth Williams' Southern mother in The Client 1995, the no-nonsense camp director in Disney's 1998 remake of The Parent Trap, or Patricia Richardson's mother on Home Improvement. Each appearance, no matter how short, reminded people of how versatile she was. Holliday also found comfort and respect on stage. She did great in plays that celebrated mature, complex women. In 1986, she charmed Broadway as one of the murderous but oddly lovable Brewster sisters in Arsenic and Old Lace. Her performance as Big Mama in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, 1990, earned her a Tony nomination, which proved that her talents went beyond TV comedy. Later, she was in a revival of Picnic, 1994, and The Time of the Cuckoo at Lincoln Center 2000, each time commanding the stage with quiet authority. Beyond acting, she spent time teaching younger performers, doing guest lectures, and speaking at events where she shared the hard-learned lessons of a woman who had made her way through a tough industry. And even late in her career, she never lost her dramatic edge. In 2010, she appeared in Fair Game, playing the fierce grandmother of CIA operative Valerie Plame, played by Naomi Watts. It was a perfect role. Protective, strong, and deeply connected to family, qualities that had defined Holliday herself. As time slowly made her older, Polly Holliday quietly stepped away from the public spotlight. Though she had long ago been defined by Flo and Alice, in her later years, she lived a quieter life, one based on faith, community, and the dignity of a career well lived. She sang in the choir at Grace Church in Greenwich Village, helped support local music programs, and lived with the humility of someone who knew that fame doesn't last forever, but character does. On September 9, 2025, in her apartment in Manhattan, Holliday passed away at the age of 88 from problems related to pneumonia. In a final twist of irony, the bright, loud voice that once cried, "Kiss my grits," was now silent. Longtime friend and manager Dennis Asplan confirmed her death, though the warmth of her presence stayed in the memories shared by co-stars, fans, and the many actors she quietly taught over the years. At the time of her passing, Holliday was the last surviving main member of the original Alice cast, a sad bookend to a shared history of laughter, struggle, and creative risk. She was buried in Green Hill Memorial Gardens in Childersburg, Alabama, beside her mother, returning to the land where she grew up, closing her circle back where it began. Her legacy is made of contradiction and courage. On one hand, she was forever connected to Flo, a character whose catchy one-liner became a real cultural echo. "Kiss my grits." Yet Holliday herself insisted she was more than a stereotype, more than just a punchline. She once distanced herself from the phrase, calling it pure Hollywood, but never denied the connection she felt to Flo's spirit, sharp, flawed, and unbowed. Beyond television, she left behind many performances across film and stage that show her range. Mrs. Deagle in Gremlins, the meddling neighbor in Mrs. Doubtfire, the stern matriarchs of The Parent Trap and Home Improvement, and powerful Broadway performances that won her a Tony nomination for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Her steady presence in smaller but meaningful roles showed a truth Hollywood sometimes forgets. Greatness doesn't always need to be in the headlines. Her impact went beyond screens and theaters. She mentored younger actors, gave lectures in acting workshops, and quietly kept alive the idea that a performer's greatest strength isn't in the spotlight, but in integrity and honesty. In her final years, she stayed involved with the arts, church, and community in New York, showing the grace of someone who had given much and asked for little. In the end, Polly Holliday's story isn't just about a Southern girl who got her chance. It is the story of a woman who accepted every twist, every setback, and every brief victory with steady determination. The character she brought to life, especially Flo, will live on in reruns, in memories, in the occasional quote slipped into conversation. But beyond the characters, her legacy is in the gentle strength she left behind. A reminder that a performer's value is measured not just in awards, but in hearts touched, barriers broken, and the quiet dignity of a life lived fully.